The name Azazel stirs up a lot of controversy across many texts of major religions. For one, there appears to be many variations of Azazel, from being an elusive spectre that receives a scapegoat full of sin from Aaron in Leviticus 16, from which the goat was cast down from in apocryphal biblical texts. Azazel also takes the form as the personification of evil and wickedness, some saying he is a demon in the desert, a demon who controls other goat demons, and even a leader of fallen angels in the Book of Enoch. In this video, I'll aim to dissect and explain the meaning of Azazel across several religious texts, and bring you some beliefs that many have regarding this elusive and mysterious entity. In the Bible, the term Azazel is used 3 times in Leviticus 16, where 2 male goats are sacrificed by Aaron in what would become known as the Day of Atonement. In Leviticus 16, the biblical God lays down some very specific instructions for Moses to tell Aaron that these 2 goats are to be marked as one to be sacrificed to him and one to be used as a scapegoat. When the first goat is sacrificed to God, the second is to be kept alive and brought before him, where Aaron is instructed to place his hand on the head of the goat and transfer all the sins of the Israelites by a confession. Thus why the goat would become known as the scapegoat. The goat would then be taken to a remote place, with all of their sins embodied within itself, and be released into the wilderness of the desert. As can be seen in older versions of the Bible, the phrase Azazel does not appear at all. However, if we look at more modern translations, such as Leviticus 16:8, it reads, "And Aaron is to cast lots over the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and 1 lot for Azazel." By this, it means to show us that Azazel is another entity, one who is considered to be the polar opposite of the biblical God, possibly even an evil entity, hence why he's the one receiving the scapegoat with all the sin imbued with it. Furthermore, this translation sees Azazel mentioned again in Leviticus 16:10, where it reads, "The goat which has been designated by lot for Azazel is to be stood alive before the Lord, to make atonement on it by sending it away to Azazel in the wilderness." By this we can understand that Azazel is an entity that lives in the wilderness, or the desert as some say, and that the goat he receives is a symbol, a symbolic representation of man casting away his past sins and delivering them to where they belong, out with Azazel. While Azazel does not make another appearance within the Bible, some rabbis have deduced that the name Azazel itself gives away a clue as to its meaning. Azaz, meaning strong or rugged, and El, meaning God or of God, could be referring to the rugged cliff from which the goat was said to have been pushed by he who escorted it out of the desert in the Jewish text Yoma, which deals mainly with the Yom Kippur, otherwise known as the Day of Atonement in Judaism. In the Enochic literature, however, which are other Jewish religious texts that are rich with angels and demons, it tells us that Azazel was actually quite a prominent figure. He appears in the Book of Enoch, a book that details the fall of angels known as the Watchers. Before the Great Flood, the Watchers were angels that under God's instruction were to watch over mankind and see that all was well amongst humanity. However, in chapter 6 of the Book of Enoch, we are told that the children of men had multiplied, and that they had beautiful daughters, which were born unto the world. The angels saw these beautiful mortal women and lusted after them, and decided that they wanted them as wives, and wished to impregnate them with their own seed. It's understood that their leader was an angel known as Semjaza or Semyaza, and in chapter 6 of Enoch, he actually tried to dissuade them from committing to such a plan, as he says, "I fear God will not indeed agree to this deed, and I alone shall have to bear the penalty of a great sin." A less detailed version of this is also described in Genesis 6:1-8, where we see the Watchers described simply as the sons of God, who were the heroes of old and men of renown. Genesis does not, however, attempt to show us the relationship between the sons of God, or the Watchers, and the mortal women. It simply states that they had relations, and married those they chose to. The Book of Enoch states that the spawn between the Watchers and the mortal women were called the Nephilim, and while they are mentioned in Genesis 6:1-8, it is not detailed as to whether they are the spawn of the sons of God, or whether they had spawned from some other means. There is no indication in Genesis that these sons of God led humanity astray. However, in the Book of Enoch, the sons of God, the Watchers, are detailed as being malevolent as they ignore Simjaza's warning to leave the women alone and instead convince him to join in. They swear an oath that together they will take the mortal women and make them their own. A list of angels who committed this act are also detailed here, but amongst their names, Azazel does not appear, yet. After the Watchers have their way with the mortal women, the women give birth to giants, or Nephilim if you will. In chapter 7, the Book of Enoch details that these Watchers defiled the women and taught them charms and enchantments, and taught them how to use plants for medicinal purposes. The Watchers revealed the secrets of heaven to these women, told them of the secrets of God, and divulged sensitive information that mankind were not meant to be privy to. Furthermore, the giants which were born from these women turned against mankind and devoured them. Before long, they were openly killing birds, reptiles, and fish, before devouring one another's flesh and drinking each other's blood. By chapter 8, Azazel is mentioned and singled out as being the entity who taught men to make swords, knives, shields, and breastplates. He taught them the metals of the earth and how to use them, before leading them astray and corrupting their ways. While the leader Simjaza and the other Watchers are noted in this chapter as teaching various things, it's interesting that Azazel is mentioned first and given a much longer and more aggressive subject to teach the mortals. While the others spoke about plants, the weather, astrology, and the earth, Azazel is the only one noted as showing mankind the tools he might use for war and battle. He's also noted as the only angel to lead men away, despite the other angels doing the exact same thing, though the subjects of their information is far more benign than swords and knives. Given that Azazel teaches man such an intense and detrimental topic, and given the fact that he is mentioned first in this chapter, many believe that Azazel is a leader of the Watchers, or at least high enough that he commands the same respect from the angels as Simjaza does. However, others dispute this, given that Azazel is not originally mentioned in chapter 6, where the main body of Watchers appear to be named. Others believe that it is here where Azazel achieves his fame, because he is the only one who broaches the subject of warfare with man. In chapter 9, Archangels Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel gaze down from heaven and see the destruction being caused on earth, courtesy of the trifling of the Watchers. What's interesting is that they are quick to blame Azazel, as they tell God, "Thou seest what Azazel hath done, who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven." They then accuse Simjaza of his crimes, stating that he had the authority over the Watchers and should have known better. They state, "They have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sin. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness." In chapter 10, God sends Archangel Uriel to Noah to tell him to hide thyself, and to reveal to him that the end is fast approaching, and that the whole world would need to be destroyed, thus leading on to the story of Noah and the flood. God also tells Archangel Raphael to bind Azazel hand and foot, and to cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish, through all the secrets that the Watchers have disclosed, and have taught to their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted, through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin. So as we can see, Azazel takes a chunk of the blame, as all sin is ascribed to him. This might likely be the case because, as I mentioned earlier, he's the only one out of all of the Watchers who discloses to man the secrets of weapons. Archangel Gabriel is sent forth by God to turn the giants against one another, so that they might destroy each other. Meanwhile, Archangel Michael is sent to bind Sanjaza and the other Watchers for 70 generations, where they can watch their sons destroy each other before being cast into the abyss of fire on their day of judgment. Azazel is mentioned again in chapter 13, where Enoch himself, now established as a scribe in chapter 12, is told to go to the Watchers and reprimand them, saying, "Ye have wrought great destruction on the earth, and ye shall have no peace, nor forgiveness of sin. And inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity, but mercy and peace shall ye not attain." He then singles out Azazel in chapter 13, saying, "Azazel, thou shalt have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee to put thee in bonds, and thou shalt never have toleration nor request granted to thee, because of the unrighteousness that thou hast taught, and because of all the works of godliness and unrighteousness and sin which thou hast shown to men." Here Enoch is essentially clarifying to both Azazel and the reader that the fallen Watcher will never have peace, and that his motives against mankind have damned him to a severe sentence that will see him in bonds. By chapter 53, Enoch describes an event of which he is taken to another part of earth and beholds a deep valley burning with fire. He asks what he describes as the angel of peace as to what is going on, to which the angel replied that the fires he saw were being prepared for the host of Azazel, thus alluding to the ultimate fate of the fallen Watcher. In the third book of Enoch, sometimes abbreviated as 3 Enoch, we see Rabbi Ishmael ascend to the heavens, where he sees God and meets some of his angels, one who goes by the name Metatron. In the third book of Enoch 4:2, Rabbi Ishmael asks Metatron who he is, to which Metatron replies that he is actually Enoch, or at least once was, and that God had saved him and brought him into heaven during the days of the Great Flood. Metatron goes on to tell Rabbi Ishmael that when he arrived in the heaven as Enoch, Azazel was there, along with 2 other angels, Azza and Uzzah, as noted in Book of Enoch 3:4-6. Despite having been judged by God in Book of Enoch 1 and bound by Archangel Raphael, there is either a discrepancy in the text, or that God allowed Azazel back into heaven at some point. Azazel detests Enoch's ascension to heaven, as well as his transformation into an angel, but God silences him and tells him in reference to Enoch, "I delight in this one more than all of you, and hence he shall be prince and a ruler over you in the high heavens." This shows us that though Azazel, if not destroyed or bound in the Book of Enoch 1, submits to Enoch in his angelic form, and does not appear to be mentioned again, implying his subservience is now absolute. This is furthermore confirmed in the third book of Enoch 4:9, where Enoch as Metatron states, "Forthwith all stood up, and went out to meet me, prostrated themselves before me, and said, Happy art thou, and happy is thy father, for thy Creator doth favour thee." Another text known as the Apocalypse of Abraham, an extra-canonical piece of Jewish literature from the 1st century, tells us that Azazel is portrayed as an unclean bird who sabotages a sacrifice constructed by Abraham. In the Apocalypse of Abraham 13:6-14, Abraham is travelling with an angel who tells him to conduct a sacrifice in honour of God. But as he does, Abraham tells us that a bird descends upon the sacrifice and tells him to abandon the sacrifice and to leave the angel, for this angel intends to burn the land and destroy him. Abraham turns to the angel and asks for an explanation, but the angel replies in 13:7, "This is ungodliness, this is Azazel." He then turns his attention towards Azazel the bird and tells him, "Disgrace upon you, Azazel, for Abraham's lot is in heaven, but yours is upon earth, because you have chosen and loved this for the dwelling place of your uncleanness." By this, it can be assumed that the angel may have been referring to the times of Enoch, where Azazel amongst his watchers descended upon the earth, and chose it as his grounds for which to mate with the women and teach humanity wickedness. The angel goes on to say in a long rant against Azazel that he cannot lead Abraham astray, as Abraham is his enemy. He also tells Azazel in 13:14, "The vesture which is in heaven was formerly yours, has been set aside for Abraham, and the mortality which was his has been transferred to you." By this, we understand that Azazel was indeed once a part of heaven, furthermore linking this with the Book of Enoch. However, we also understand that he has now been cast out, possibly bound as suggested in Enoch by Archangel Raphael, and that in his bondage he has become more like the mortals, powerless and weak as Abraham takes his place. What's interesting about this piece is that we actually do see Abraham setting up a sacrifice to God in Genesis 15:11, and that birds do indeed descend upon the sacrifice, as if to tarnish it. However, Abraham is not noted as driving them away, much as Azazel is driven away in the Apocalypse of Abraham. We later see the angel and Abraham ascend to heaven in chapter 23, where Abraham meets God and gets to see the fall of Adam and Eve play before his eyes. However, he also sees a mysterious entity between Adam and Eve, lurking behind the tree. In 23:7-8, Abraham describes the entity, saying, "Standing behind the tree was one who had the aspect of a serpent, having hands and feet like those of a man, and wings on its shoulders, 6 pairs of wings, so that there were 6 wings on the right and 6 on the left." In chapter 23, 9-12, Abraham asks God, "Who are these who are embracing, and who is the one between them who is behind the tree, and what is the fruit that they are eating?" To which God replies, "This is the counsel of the world. This one is Adam, and this one, who is their desire upon the earth, is Eve. But he who is between them represents ungodliness, and their beginnings on the way to perdition, Azazel himself." By this, we understand that Azazel in this story is the serpent who tempted Eve, and that Azazel is essentially instrumental in the downfall of man. This appears to be one of the only texts that describe Azazel in such detail, though it is also interesting that Abraham sees more than just the serpent that is traditionally depicted, but also sees this serpent with wings, hands, and feet, perhaps maintaining some of his angelic features from a time when he was one of God's angels. God then tells Abraham between chapters 28 and 32 of the judgment that man will receive in the end times, and that an entity known simply as a man, or the relief, will appear from the side of the pagans, and will be worshipped by the pagans and by Azazel himself. Abraham actually sees this man in a vision produced by God, where the man is beaten, insulted, and struck. But Abraham is most stricken when he sees Azazel kiss the man on the face and proceeds to stand behind him, implying that even Azazel reveres this man. And as I watched, I saw Azazel approach him, and he kissed him on the face and then stood behind him. God explains that this man is the Messiah, a man sent to fight the enemies of God and to inspire hope and betterment in people, whilst also seeking to amass a following of people who will be like him and worship him. While in biblical accounts, Jesus is commonly dubbed as being the Messiah, but he is never actually named here in the Apocalypse of Abraham. However, there is a shrewd observation that in Luke 22:48, Judas betrays Jesus by identifying him to the authorities with a kiss. Much like Azazel is noted as supplying the Messiah with a kiss, an interesting parallel can be drawn between the two cases, implying that the Messiah, or the man known as the relief in the Apocalypse of Abraham, is actually Jesus, and Judas is actually Azazel. In the final chapters of the Apocalypse of Abraham, we see Azazel mentioned once more, as God tells Abraham that the wicked in the end times will putrefy in the belly of the crafty worm Azazel, and be burned by the fire of Azazel's tongue. The idea here is that God shows Abraham a sign of things to come, that much of the world becomes stricken with evil, and that many choose to side with Azazel or follow in his evil footsteps. Through this, we understand that God and Azazel become something along the sort of rivals, one being good and the other being bad. It appears by this that God and Azazel are sharing the same world, but that in the end times, God will see to those that have followed Azazel are burned by him. In this, Azazel becomes comparable to Satan, or could simply be another term used for Satan in that he opposes God and seeks to corrupt man. Azazel does not appear to be officially mentioned in the Quran, although many Islamic interpreters believe that Azazel, written as Azazel, was the name of the devil before he was expelled from the heavens. Some believers hold on to the idea that Azazel was an archangel, but contrarily was also a jinn, an evil spirit or a demon in the Islamic faith. Exegesis such as the Tafsir and the stories of the prophecies seem to tell us that Azazel was something of a hybrid between jinn and angel. Further ideas by scholars who have studied the Sahaba suggest that before the Islamic devil Iblis was cast out from heaven for his refusal to bow to Adam, Iblis was known as Azazel. Some theories from these ideas include that Azazel was an angel who loses his position due to his refusal to bow to Adam, or that he was originally a jinn that earned God's favour and was welcomed into heaven, or that he was sent to earth to terminate the jinn. It seems that in all of these cases, Azazel grows arrogant, and at the point of being asked to bow before Adam, he refuses every time, believing that as an angel, he is superior to humans. In another tale, a companion of a prophet claimed that the jinn were once angelic creatures who descended upon earth to observe humanity, but became entranced by the women. It would lead them to sexual deviancy, the drinking of wine, and even murder. A story that sounds awfully similar to the Watchers in the Book of Enoch. Supposedly, Azazel was one of these angels, but that he turned away from the sinful ways of his companions and devoted himself to God. Meanwhile, a group of Muslim philosophers from 8th century Iraq, known as the Brethren of Purity or the Brethren of Serenity, suggested that Azazel was a jinn from earth, but was captured by angels. However, he would impress upon the angels because of his strong moral compass and willingness to do good. He was brought before God and made one of his angels, until again he was brought before Adam, to whom he refused to bow before, causing him to be cast out. A 9th century Persian poet named Al-Hallaj recorded in a collection of stories known as the Tawasin that there were various theories about Azazel even back then. He notes that Azazel was known as Iblis only after his fall from grace, and that Azazel was charged with a mission in heaven and a mission on earth. His mission on heaven was to preach to the angels and to show them good works. However, on earth, he preached to men about jinn, showing them evil deeds. Essentially, what this tells us is that Azazel was actually good intentioned. He showed the angels the way of goodness, and told them that if they did these things, they would be rewarded. However, when he went to earth, he only showed them the bad things, and essentially told them, don't do these things because you won't be rewarded. Without being told the good things, man had no comparison between good and evil. He simply only knew evil, and therefore did not know right from wrong. By this argument, the evil spread by Azazel is not through malice, but merely through neglectful explanation. Al-Hallaj also explains some intricacies about the name Azazel, notably breaking down the phonics of the word and what he believes each syllable to represent. He finally ends by detailing the argument between Azazel and God, where Azazel tells God that he cannot understand how he expects him to bow before Adam, who was made from earth, and he was made from fire. He even declares himself as a martyr before God, before he is banished, and eventually returned to the flames from which he was spawned. Azazel is mentioned in a whole range of religious texts, most of them non-canonical, but certainly interesting reads nonetheless. Unfortunately, there also exists what I've determined to be a lot of fanciful fiction spewed out from so-called scholars and translators that seek to paint Azazel in a certain light, despite their claims not being backed up by any real religious source. A lot of these are accounts or simply interpretations, most of them modern ones, and there might be things that I have left out of this video simply because I could not find substantial evidence for. In any case, if you think I've missed something crucial, then feel free to let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think about the term or character of Azazel. As always guys, if you've enjoyed today's video, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Until the next time, guys.
Hallelujah. I can even express as Assalamu alaikum, because truly we are in a time in which everyone has a right to choose a path. So the first is the way of the Hebrews. The second, which is really for many the first, since Esau is before Jacob, is the way of the Arabs. So this is really a review. The date is the 6th of February 2K24. In this review you will see a footage in which I was foretelling something that will take place. In fact, if you go through my audio record, you'll hear me reiterating about a particular subject, which is before the stars, the great star will descend. I have been saying this before 2K24. So what I want you to understand, that I do not make up stories so to look impressive. When I speak with assurance, with power of my inner being, the most glorious. There's something I have said in my heart and I would like to share, in which I have said, I can remember God of the Hebrews, when he said that he's going to speak to Moses. He told Moses that tomorrow he will descend on Mount Sinai. So Moses should come and meet him so that he can speak to Moses. We know in my dispensation many consider God as one. Okay, so he had to come down from heaven in order to speak to Moses. Let's say, for example, myself, the exclusive absolute. I can right now speak psychologically, and the whole earth literally hears. Now the question is, did I perform what the God of the Hebrews did, leaving heaven, coming to Mount Sinai, which is on earth, just to speak to Moses? If I right now think something, the whole earth hears. So for many, God is one. However, the God of the Hebrews has to perform a practical thing in order to reach someone whom he loved, which was Moses. He has to go in action. This is to say, or that is to say, leaving from a particular place to another place. just to speak to his servant Moses. So if God is one, surely my glory is not his. Now, regarding what many people will have Jesus as two. First, for many, he's the Son of God in Christendom. However, for the Arabs, he's not the Son of God. He's just the Messiah, peace be upon him. So let me explain something. The Bible states that Jesus Christ went around in both preaching the gospel. If he were in all, he wouldn't need to be practical, just like God, who left heaven and come to earth just to speak to Moses. Jesus Christ was going around in a boat, sharing the good news. And if that was not enough, he chose 12 disciples to spread the kingdom of heaven message. So my question is, one is not in all. Two is also not in all. So why do I follow the agenda? The agenda says that if you're one, then my question is, if a person is one, let's say there is another one, how is it that he is not in all? He is a mediocre one. And if there's two, which there is, he's also just like Jesus. He has to go around in both, sharing the message. He has to use the media, because he's not in all. He's not exclusive absolute, which is myself. The very reality that you are hearing each day. So I don't fit the agenda, because one is not in all, and many ascribe God as one. Jesus is not in all, and many ascribe him as two. And for that cause, many have this doctrinal expression regarding the Trinity. The Father, that's one. The Son, that's two. The Holy Spirit, that's three. So, you see why the agenda is nothing to me. I cannot even get duplicated, because I am exclusive indeed. So, let me read this passage as I'm in a review mood. As I said, I am all about 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things and hold fast that which is good. So in this video, I'll be proving to you that what I have spoken has come to pass. Some people may wonder, how is it that I have such authority that the heavens actually responded in such a way? Many would wonder, will we ever see before the stars a great star descend? Many persons would wonder about this. In fact, there's a beloved person that I love listen by the name Jennifer. She has a program by the name Deep Believer. She said something about some of the things that will happen in this series, like illusion, like camera trick. Well, beloved, when the real power is on earth, there's no need for camera trick, because the glory is very real. Not only the human race can hear the exclusive absolute, the entire creation, the universe, even things beyond that nobody knows about. So, let me tell you, I'm gonna read Biblical Ezekiel chapter 33. And I'm going to read verse 31 until about verse 33. So, Biblical Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 31 until 33. So it states, And they come unto thee as the people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they shew much love, but their heart goeth after their covetousness. That's 31. So let me read verse 32 now. And lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song of one that hath a pleasant voice, and can play well on an instrument. For they hear thy words, but they do them not. Now the last verse, verse 33. Listen. And when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them. So, this was the message given to Ezekiel, and Ezekiel is called the Son of Man, just like the title given to Jesus Christ. He's called the Son of Man. So Ezekiel was compared unto one who, according to verse 31, is as a very lovely song. So that's how important one being is, which is such one, a very lovely song. So people like to hear, but the people don't like to obey what is given regarding the instruction. For example, I originate some songs, and I don't think that many people take these songs seriously, especially what I sang about the tunnel that every soul has to pass through when you leave your body. So why not go through the way, which is the exclusive absolute, myself? So for many, I am a portal. When you speak to me, you speak to everyone. So let me explain something. So a very lovely song is what you will hear in this record as well. And you can see my record in audio project in which I have originated some very lovely song which speaks of unity. For you can see the Muslims, the Jews, the Christians being displayed in some of these videos of mine. Yet there is no true unity among many of these. So you see the implication. So it says in verse 30, so that you understand what I'm talking about, that the Lord was speaking to Son of Man, which if you understood the entire passage, you'll know it's Ezekiel. He said, also, thou son of man, the children of thy people still are talking against thee by the walls and in the doors of the houses, and speak one to another, every one to his brother, saying, Come, I pray you, and hear what is the word that cometh forth from the Lord. So let me pause. The people acknowledge that is the word of God because it's keep happening, but they will not obey the instruction given. So the Bible said in verse 32 is like a very lovely song. I remember I sang one which speaks about can't lose, and I made mention of September, what will take place. And the sea became very hot, as I was speaking about Leviathan. So it's a very lovely song, right? And it really coming to pass because such thing happened in September. So if you go through my audio record, you'll be hearing me speaking about what will take place in September. Just like I speak now, confirming, which in this review you'll see the footage about the star which descended before the stars. So you'll see. So I explained that is because the archangel Michael go against the adversary. So the archangel with his host go against the adversary and his host, and because of such thing, that is why the great star descended. And I said also, if that was not enough, that something weird will happen in the atmosphere, and you will see about this thing that happened in the atmosphere after the star descended. Actually, it was showing over North America, so I guess this is the ideal location why my superior self, when I said my superior self, I'm talking about God, since the Bible said that we are made in his image and likeness. So therefore, God is our superior self. Revealed to me such thing. So after the great star descended, something will happen in the atmosphere, and you will see it in the footage about this darkness, I think of the sun, something regarding the planet. So you'll see, so that you have the accurate information, the follow-up regarding the star that descended. I spoke also regarding the sons of thunder. So the sons of thunder will cause a lot of things to happen. So I heard that California is under severe storm. So you can imagine there's a lot of thundering going on, even though such thing has not been disclosed, because many times when these clouds burst, it always brings about thunder and lightning. So you see, everything I said is fulfilling. And regarding, if that's not enough, let's go further. I spoke about top ranks will pass off, those in high authority. So my condolences. So I heard about this Chilean who was a former president. he was in a helicopter and he crashed. He died. I said about 7 in all will die. The Chinese who was second, that was last year, to Xi Jinping, he died. And he didn't have any known illness. And regarding this person who was in Turkey that was talking against Israel, and he made mention of a certain name, he died as well. I said that it will happen just like that, and it will come on the news. And I can go on and on and on. So I'm telling you, everything I said is happening. And these are not ordinary people dying. And these people are dying in a way that you can only say it must be God. Die without the hand of men. Supernaturally. So, just way to think about. I spoke about the Euphrates River dried up, which has never been dried up before. So I told you that Azazel has been released. And I told you that a lot of things are going to happen on earth, especially in this year 2K24. So I realized it's a leap year. So it's 366 days then. So this is just a day before my Supreme Self. And as I said, when I speak of my Supreme Self, I'm talking about since we are made in the image of God, He is our Supreme Self. So we are made in His image and likeness. So a lot of things will happen this year. And many of these persons who died will go in cells in the afterlife, because the Archangel Michael has made cells to put many of these souls, and they cannot come out of the cells in which they are going in. Many of them. So, the question is, how long before many of these wake up to the reality of what's happening on planet Earth? I'm the only balance. I can get duplicated. And I told you that God, for many, is one, and He came from heaven just to speak to Moses. Jesus, for many, is two, and He has to go around in both, sharing the good news. So, how do I fit in any of these characters? Since I'm, just for example, the fullness that fills all in all, according to Ephesians 1:23, in the biblical aspect. In Quran, Al-Ma'idah 5:101 speaks about a revealer that will reveal many things for those who do not understand, who are troubled when hearing the message from the Quran. So there will be a time in which things will be revealed. So this is what's going on right now. When I read something, the whole earth knows. So you understand what such thing means. So the captain who is on my left inspired me to give this last message for 2K23. The only thing I will speak for 2K24 is just review after review. So to let you know that everything I've spoken come to pass. So in this last message, I want you to know what will happen in 2K24. However, I will just reiterate something for September and also speak something about December. Then in 2K24, I will make mention of several things that will happen, including the main thing which I have said.
Stars will rain down from the summer night sky with the Perseid meteor shower at number 2. It is one of the most popular meteor showers, boasting 40 to 60 meteors per hour. Catch the shower after midnight when the moon sets. And at number 1, the total solar eclipse will return to the United States on April 8th. The path of totality will travel from Texas to Maine. People in parts of Mexico and Canada will also see the total eclipse. It is by far the number 1 astronomy event to mark on your calendar. Reporting for AccuWeather, I'm Justin Povick.
Before the stars, the great stars shall, let me use the word will, because peace must go forth. So, before the stars, the great star will descend. So, this phenomena will take place in the atmosphere. However, in the heavens, you will see something odd, ODD, something that is very out of the norm. So the atmosphere, something will manifest in the heavens. So it's just probably many persons will say a phenomena. However, this thing that will take place in the sky
After midnight when the moon sets. And at number 1, the total solar eclipse will return to the United States on April 8th. The path of totality will travel from Texas to Maine. People in parts of Mexico and Canada will also see the total eclipse. It is by far the number 1 astronomy event to mark on your calendar. Reporting for AccuWeather, I'm Justin Povick.
is a result of what I said before. The stars, the great star will descend. So I didn't give the month, just within the year 2K24, because we are in the evil day, which is 365 days, compiling, forming just a single day according to my superior self, according to the captain. Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 6 speaks that when my supreme self was speaking to, for example, the Son of Man, which is not the Son of Man as in Jesus, the Son of Man who obtained such title as a seer. I use the word seer because, for the sake of peace, it's a complex word. It's a fortune teller in meaning. It's also a prophet in meaning. So he called him with a consonant capital letter S. You may see in some passages he's referred with a capital consonant letter S, just like Jesus. So I want you to understand something. So he said that for a day such shall you make equivalent for a year. So in the Gregorian calendar we have 365 days except within a leap year. So consider all of these together as a single day. So 2K24 for the captain is a single day. So
Joshua chapter 5. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him, and said unto him,
Art thou for us, or for our adversaries?
And he said,
Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come.
And Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and did worship, and said unto him,
What saith my Lord unto his servant?
And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua,
Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy.
And Joshua did so.
a lot of things will happen. So I'm telling you now, when my predecessor was here, he spoke about the sons of thunder. And you can see this in Mark chapter 3, verse number 17. So the Bible states, and James, the son of Zebedee, and John, the brother of James, and he surnamed them Boanerges, which is the sons of thunder. So let me elaborate because of 2K24. So these whom my supreme self gave to the Messiah, Emmanuel. You should have heard the issue which he had with Emmanuel in the past, which no Christian would ever have spoken about, because the time of fulfillment didn't come. So the Lord hide this so that you may remain with Emmanuel. Remember, I told you about the derision in biblical Psalm 2 verse 4. So let me continue. I perpetuate right now by telling you that so these beings who were human that my predecessor surnamed were the shadow of those that were in, even now is in heaven. So they are literally beings who operate together by the name sons of thunder. This was first in the heaven. So when he was here and he said, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, he was bringing heaven by renaming these as sons of thunder. 24. These beings will manifest themselves powerfully, not in an ordinary way, and these will bring about things that will make you very much afraid. These are angelic beings, not James, the son of Zebedee, not John, the brother of James. These were in Jesus' ministry, my predecessor's ministry, whose name is Emmanuel. The Bible said in Matthew chapter 1, when his angel Gabriel came, he told Mary, and the son who by the name Jesus will be called Emmanuel. It have a slightly different spelling, however it's still the same one. So I want you to understand what I'm telling you. So just in the past there was an issue with Lucifer, with my supreme self, and he had taken away 1/3 of the heavenly host. Now regarding Emmanuel, I will not speak concerning him, only in the circle. And when I speak of the circle, I'm talking about the Jews. My dispensation is Zephaniah 3. The Muslim also has this circle, and the Christians as well. However, within Zephaniah 3, it is not talking about the Muslims, because it made mention of Zion. Zion is Jerusalem, even though the Muslims are there as well. However, it made mention of the daughter of Zion, so it can be togetherness. Because of the people living there, they become a Zionist, right? So I want you to understand what I'm telling you. So the sons of thunder will manifest powerfully in 2K24, and as I said, these are not Jesus' disciples.
Nearly 40 million Americans facing potentially life-threatening conditions from a powerful storm system now hitting California.
Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency in 8 counties. Torrential rain and strong winds are leading to widespread flooding, mudslides, and damages to homes and cars in Santa Barbara and Ventura counties. And the worst of it could be on its way.
CBS News correspondent Elise Preston joins us now from the thick of it in Ventura County. Elise, good to see you. I see the road closed behind you, some standing water. What else are you noticing about the aftermath?
Well, good afternoon to you, Tony and Lilia. We are in Ventura County, and we are getting a much-needed, well-received break from the rain. But that threat is not over. As you mentioned, Lilia, more of that rain is coming. Tony, you mentioned this road closed behind me. You can see just how high the water is from a nearby creek. This road is impassable. Now, with this break, what is really good for the residents in this area, you can see the silt along the roadway. The water came up really high, so it's going back down. And a lot of these neighbors are saying that this area typically floods, or it has been flooding in the last year anytime rain has come by. This is the second storm in just a matter of days. So this lull that we're seeing, they really need this break right now, because that rain is about to kick right back up again here in just a matter of a few hours. And this area is expected to get really hard today and through the overnight.
Elise, the fact that you're hearing from neighbors tells me that not everybody has evacuated. Is that an area where people should? Are people heeding to those warnings?
So in the last few days, the sheriff's department, they came through this area. They were knocking on doors. They said, if you want to leave, now is the time to go. A lot of these families did pack up and leave, but some said that they were going to ride out the storm. They mentioned that it was risky. From where we're standing, just about 2 doors down, a neighbor told us that this time last year, she lost a car when debris came through after rains and kind of swept that out. So they know that it's risky. They said that they have to-go bags at the ready, that if they need to leave, that they will try to head out if they can. This area, we're in the Coyote Creek area of Ventura County, a lot of windy roads, very slippery, very slick. We were here all day yesterday, and that rain was just pounding.
Elise, what's the government there in California, what's the state doing to help residents cope with the emergency?
Well, you mentioned that emergency declaration here. This area is one of the 8 counties that will be impacted by that. Basically, the National Guard will be able to respond much quicker. They'll be able to help out impacted residents with unemployment benefits. And also, that emergency declaration also allows people, outside contractors from out of state, to come in quickly and repair the storm damage that they're expecting to see, some of the storm damage that they've already seen. We've seen a lot of down trees across this state, especially here in central and southern California. We can also tell you that the state activated an emergency command center where they're keeping track of all these rescue operations.
It's important to do. People need money, they need resources, and they need that coordination. Elise Preston, thank you very much.
I said about 7 in all will die. The Chinese, who was second, that was last year, to Xi Jinping, he died. And he didn't have any known illness.
Former Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, the man who steered the world's second largest economy for a decade, has passed away.
State media said he suffered a heart attack. He was 68.
CNA's Olivia Xiong joins us for more now from Beijing. Olivia, what more can you tell us?
Steve, this is shocking news that China is waking up to this morning. That state media announcement coming in just a short while ago, saying that the former premier of China, Li Keqiang, has died. And in that statement, which I have right here, it said that Mr. Li was resting in Shanghai in recent days. He experienced a heart attack on October 26, and after all our efforts to revive him failed, he died in Shanghai at 10 minutes past midnight on October 27. Now, no further details have been given by state media so far after this short announcement, and it's not been known publicly that Mr. Li had any health issues. He stepped down from the post officially as premier earlier this year. The state media are also saying that an obituary will be published later today, and it remains to be seen if more details will be given, but certainly there will be a lot more reactions to this coming up for one of China's leaders that has served the country for a decade.
Olivia, what legacy does he leave behind? How will he be remembered?
Well, Premier Li, as we mentioned, or former Premier Li rather, served as the head of China's State Council for a decade, and we saw him speaking and delivering his last government work report earlier this year at the country's parliamentary meetings. Now, Premier Li, in that speech, he set out to give his final government work report as the country's top legislature convened, and overall, that bulk of the speech focused very much on the past, his legacy, looking back on the achievements that he had made, perhaps very mindful that this was to be the last time that he would be addressing such an annual session as he steps down from the helm. At the end of that speech, I recall being in the hall where he received a long round of applause from delegates and representatives, nothing very sentimental, but he did say that the last 5 years of his term were truly momentous and remarkable, but he also noted that the road ahead would be left to the incoming leadership, and top of that priority is China's economy, which, as we know, is facing many headwinds. But we saw Mr. Li in recent years steer the country through the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the domestic and international affairs, as he had traveled across the world, as China continues to face increasing scrutiny about its global ambitions. But we know that Mr. Li's term in power as premier had been curtailed under the helm of Chinese President Xi Jinping. This, as Mr. Li was once seen as a competitor to Mr. Xi for the top job. We know that the 68-year-old had said last year, when addressing the press at the parliamentary sessions, that he would be stepping down as premier as he had reached his 2-term limit. This is even though at the point in time he was 67 and not of retirement age just yet. But we know that Mr. Li's fate was made clear last year at the twice-a-decade Communist Party Congress, when his name was left out of the Central Committee list, as Mr. Li has been viewed by observers to be part of a rival faction to Mr. Xi, and his name was not included as being part of China's top leadership body anymore, therefore implying that he would be stepping out of politics, as Mr. Xi has sought to consolidate his power and stack the top echelons of China's leadership with his own allies. So it remains to be seen how Mr. Li will be remembered by the current leadership and what arrangements will come.
Thanks for getting us up to speed with that. Olivia Seong speaking to us from Beijing.
And regarding this person who was in Turkey that was talking against Israel, and he made mention of a certain name, he died as well. I said that it will happen just like that, and it will come on the news.
I found this video very embarrassing for the Muhammadan and for the God of Islam. This is a Turkish MP. He was making a speech against Israel, as you see in the screen. And after slandering Israel for a while, he said that you, Israel, you will not escape the wrath of Allah. And right away he have a heart attack. And by now I think he's dead. That's what they're saying. I'm not sure. He's dead? The wrath of Allah? I mean, look at you, Turkish people. Women working prostitutes, drugs, gambling, women for sale in the street. Number one income for the country is a prostitution. And you are talking about the worth of Allah? It is more worth than you as a Muslim. You have to kiss the ass of the American to keep their bases in Turkey so you can receive some money. It is more worse than you kiss the ass of an Arab guy, the Prince of Qatar, who is just a Bedouin. He never been royal too. Just to give you some money so your economy will not collapse? Isn't it the worst of God, not Allah, that you have to kiss the American ass to keep your currency not from floating over water like toilet paper? And you are talking about the worst of Allah? So let us see what happened to this guy. Watch with me.
Siz İsrail'in suç ortağısınız. Elinizde Filistinlilerin kanı var. İşbirlikçisiniz. İsrail'in Gazze'ye attığı her bombada katkınız var. Tarihin azabından kurtulsanız Allah'ın gazabından kurtulamayacaksınız. Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Look at this.
Birleşime 20 dakika ara veriyorum.
Siz İsrail'in suç ortağısınız. Siz İsrail'in suç ortağısınız. Elinizde Filistinlilerin kanı var. İşbirlikçisiniz. İsrail'in Gazze'ye attığı her bombada katkınız var. Tarihin azabından kurtulsanız Allah'ın gazabından kurtulamayacaksınız. Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Birleşime 20 dakika ara veriyorum.
And I can go on and on and on. So I'm telling you, everything I said is happening. And these are not ordinary people dying. And these people are dying in a way that you can only say it must be God. Die without the hand of men. Supernaturally. So just wait to think about. I spoke about the Euphrates River dried up, which has never been dried up before. So I told you that Azazel has been released. And I told you that a lot of things are going to happen on earth, especially in this year 2K24. So I realized it's a leap year. So it's 366 days then.
Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
The longest and one of the most historically important rivers of Western Asia, on which the various lives of the ancients depended heavily on this river.
The Euphrates River, once a lifeline to numerous civilizations throughout history, has rapidly dried up in recent years. This frightening occurrence has not only endangered the lives of millions, but also exposed archaeological treasures buried beneath the riverbed. However, the river Euphrates has recently been sealed due to some intriguing discoveries that could change the world forever. What is the real history behind this river, and what other strange discovery led to its closure? In this video, you will find answers to this as we will discuss the mystery behind this and some other 9 mysteries of the Euphrates, so keep watching. We will start with the story of the hidden truth behind the Euphrates. Originating in Turkey, the Euphrates River traverses Syria and Iraq, eventually merging with the Tigris before reaching the Persian Gulf. With an expansive basin covering 190,000 square miles and a length of approximately 1,700 miles, it stands as the longest river in Western Asia. The river experiences heightened water levels in April and May due to increased rainfall and melting runoff. Preserving its original vegetation, the Euphrates showcases a diverse range of flora along its course. In southeast Turkey's mountains, the river passes through xeric woods, hosting a variety of trees, including oaks, pistachios, roses, and plums. The Euphrates River presents breathtaking views and carries immense historical significance. Ancient cities such as Sipar, Nippur, Shuruppak, Mari, Ur, and Urkuk thrived along its banks, benefiting from the ample water supply that granted access to fertile agricultural land. This river served as the cradle of human development, where early societies discovered the art of writing, established cities, and formed kingdoms. Beyond being a mere water source, the Euphrates held profound significance as the birthplace of civilization. Exploring the historical narrative of the Euphrates reveals that it transcended its physical attributes, occupying a sacred space in the hearts and thoughts of the people. The earliest mentions of the Euphrates River are found in cuneiform manuscripts discovered at Shuruppak and pre-Sargonic Nippur, dating back to the mid-3 RD millennium BCE. The Euphrates River offers breathtaking scenery and holds significant historical importance. Ancient cities including Sipar, Nippur, Shuruppak, Mari, Ur, and Urkuk thrived along its banks, benefiting from the abundant water that provided access to fertile agricultural land. The river appears frequently in religious writings such as the Bible, where it is frequently used as a symbol of life, wealth, and divine favors. Many saw the Euphrates as a link between the divine and the material world and a source of spiritual sustenance. However, disputes and power battles also involved the river. Empires arose and collapsed, battling for dominance over this invaluable asset. The Euphrates saw wars, coalitions, and the ascent and descent of monarchs. It witnessed civilization's heyday as well as their inevitable downfall. The river took on the role of a narrator, revealing the mysteries of bygone eras. Scientists have reported that the Euphrates River has finally dried up. Amidst these developments, some individuals attributed spiritual significance to the occurrence. For them, the drying up of the Euphrates transcended mere geological phenomena. It conveyed a message from the divine. This interpretation introduced an additional dimension to the unfolding mystery, weaving together history, nature, and spirituality elements, thereby altering the region's cultural fabric. Once a vital source of sustenance, the riverbed transformed into a source of wonder, serving as a poignant reminder of the mysteries lying beneath the surface, waiting to be unveiled. The debate over the fulfillment of prophecies intensified as the waters of the Euphrates River receded. Whispers and rumors circulated, linking this remarkable event to ancient prophecies in religious texts. Are we witnessing the realization of prophecies foretold thousands of years ago? We will now list the terrifying and shocking things found after the drying up of the river Euphrates. Discovery of eerie sounds. As the waters of the Euphrates slowly pulled back, revealing secrets from the long past, a discovery sparked unease among those who found it. It was a spooky cave with entrances that looked like prison bars. When people ventured inside, they discovered a large network of dark tunnels that seemed to go on forever. The eerie sounds from deep within made it more than just a creepy cave. As explorers moved through the tunnels, they heard echoes that felt like whispers from forgotten stories and strange cries that sounded ancient. The cave wasn't just a place, it seemed like a door to a history that had been forgotten. So it wasn't just about how the cave looked, it was about the mysterious sounds that made it feel like a portal to a past, waiting to be remembered. The unease came from what they saw and the feeling that the cave had echoes of a long ago. Strange, unexplained sounds echoed in the cave, raising questions about its origins and the people who might have lived there long ago. In a place with a rich history like the Euphrates region, it didn't take much time for the discovery to be connected to old stories, local tales, and even stories from the Bible. Some believed the mysterious sounds echoing from the cave were the voices of ancient spirits. In contrast, others speculated they might be the sounds of falling angels, reminiscent of Christian biblical prophecies. The uncertainty surrounding these peculiar sounds raised questions about whether these angels, if indeed responsible, would soon descend upon Earth to fulfill a prophecy of destroying 1/3 of the world's population. As curiosity drew more, people eager to decipher the enigma, the crowd size increased, raising safety concerns. Recognizing the potential risks of this unusual attraction, authorities took decisive action by sealing off the cave. This closure sparked debates among the local community. Some mourned the loss of the strange cave sounds, while others found solace in the increased sense of safety brought by the sealed cave. The closure left the cave again shrouded in mystery, prompting speculation that someone might be trying to conceal something from the public. The transformation of the Euphrates, once a source of life, into a guardian of hidden mysteries, serves as a poignant reminder that even today, unexplained phenomena and enigmas continue to await resolution. People could only guess, since no clear answers made the cave even more intriguing. Many were curious about the truths and secrets the cave might hold, secrets that, for now, remain hidden beneath the waves of the Euphrates. Another secret discovery from the Euphrates River now takes us back to King Gilgamesh, the lost tomb of King Gilgamesh. Long ago in the ancient Near East, there lived a king by the name of Gilgamesh. The ancient city of Uruk, known as Warka, was located east of the current Euphrates riverbed. The Euphrates River has been sealed off following a momentous revelation, the unveiling of the lost tomb of Gilgamesh. This quest for the tomb's discovery originated as historians and archaeologists sought to unravel the truth concealed within the layers of myth surrounding Gilgamesh's final resting place. Gilgamesh was an exceedingly great king in the city of Sumeria, Europe. This city was very powerful in Europe, and Gilgamesh was considered the fifth king in history. Unlike every other king who reigned in the city, Gilgamesh has some strange, mystical power due to his divine origin. He possesses 2 parts of God and 1 part of humans. His duality bestowed certain divine attributes, chief among them being strength and size. Interestingly, Gilgamesh was about 17 feet tall, standing taller than the ordinary Iraqi citizen. The people of Uruk prayed to the gods to teach him to be a kind and wise king. They admired him for his courage and strong leadership, but also feared his immaturity and propensity to act without thinking. The gods answered their petition by creating Enkidu, a man who resembled a wild beast who would serve as Gilgamesh's advisor and companion. They would set off on an adventure together that would forever alter their lives. The 2 warriors engaged in ferocious combat as Enkidu and Gilgamesh first met, each attempting to demonstrate his superior power and skill. But they quickly discovered they were matched and became close friends. Enkidu and Gilgamesh set out on a heroic quest to defeat the terrifying Humbaba. According to the epic, Gilgamesh was said to have been buried in the Euphrates, and archaeologists employed modern technology to investigate this claim. They could digitally map the area using advanced methods, such as creating a magnetogram by examining soil magnetization differences. This process effectively provided a detailed town plan of Uruk. The findings were remarkable, revealing the presence of garden structures, field layouts, Babylonian houses, and an exceptionally sophisticated canal system. Jörg Fassbinder from the Bavarian Department of Historical Monuments in Munich highlighted the canal system as the most astonishing discovery. Additionally, remnants of a structure that could be interpreted as a burial site were unearthed. Is this the tomb where Gilgamesh lies, as told in the Epic of Gilgamesh? It looks strikingly similar to the grave described in the epic. Still, Fassbinder is reluctant to confirm the connection, saying he doesn't want to declare with certainty that it was Gilgamesh's. Not all of the Euphrates' unexpected mysteries have been revealed, though. The tomb of Gilgamesh is not the only one. Recent droughts have exposed the river to a treasure trove of lost cities and ancient treasures. The river's receding waters revealed 6 civilizations, each with its antiques and riches. Hastek Castle. Our next stop is the fascinating Hastek Castle, an architectural gem discovered in 2021 within the Keben Dam Lake on the Euphrates River in eastern Turkey's Agan region. This unique structure, accessible only by boat, is believed to have functioned as a temple in the pre-Christian era, according to Professor Korakma's son, a distinguished historian from Firat University. Carved into the rocks, Hastek Castle features 3 floors adorned with Greek inscriptions. Visitors can explore spacious rooms, a temple area, and sections resembling a rock tomb. The castle's galleries showcase cleverly designed battlements as sources of light, ventilation, and defense. The Islamic prophecy. In exploring the role of the Euphrates in Islamic history, it is crucial to refer to Quranic verses and hadiths that highlight their spiritual significance. Quran 18:86 mentions the journey of Dhul Qarnayn, often identified as Alexander the Great, who reached a place where the sun sets near a muddy spring. Some scholars associate this muddy spring with the Euphrates. Hadiths further stress the importance of the Euphrates. In Sahih Muslim, a narration attributed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is that the Euphrates will reveal a treasure, a mountain of gold. He advises those present not to take anything from it. Book 41, Hadith 6942. Historically, these Quranic verses and hadiths contribute to the significance of the Euphrates in Islamic teachings, linking it to narratives about the journey of prominent figures and emphasizing its spiritual and even material importance in the future. Historically, the Euphrates have played a pivotal role in shaping Islamic narratives. It witnessed crucial events in the early struggles of the Islamic community, such as the Battle of the Camel and the Battle of Kafan, both of which hold pivotal positions in Islamic history. In this broader context, the Euphrates goes beyond its geographical significance. It embodies a spiritual and historical tapestry intricately woven into the fabric of Islam. The Euphrates River and its prophecies hold a significant place in Islamic teachings. Prophet Muhammad's foretelling about the Euphrates River has become a chilling reminder of an impending doom awaiting humanity. He prophesied that the hour would not arrive before the Euphrates dries up, revealing a mountain of gold that people would fiercely contend for. The prophecy further forewarns that in the ensuing struggle, a staggering 99 out of every 100 individuals will perish, with each survivor questioning their fate. Today, drying the Euphrates River is not merely a prophetic notion, it is gradually transforming into a terrifying reality. Rising temperatures contribute to this crucial source's swift decline in water levels. Faith has long cautioned us about the dire consequences of such events. Yet, little has been done to impede this alarming progression. Undeniably, what was once perceived as a distant premonition is rapidly evolving into our worst nightmare. The Bible prophecy. The Euphrates River, a historical thread weaving through the annals of time, now particularly captivates our attention. Recent years have seen the mighty river's waters receding, prompting deep contemplation. It's imperative to recognize that the Euphrates is more than a geographical entity. It holds pivotal symbolism in biblical prophecy. Revelation 16:12 directs our focus, stating, "Then the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up, so that the way of the kings from the east might be prepared." This scripture marks a crucial moment in biblical prophecy and urges us to contemplate the signs of our times. Are these shifts mere environmental changes, the result of climate change, or do they unfold as part of a greater divine plan before our eyes? The profound nature of this scripture challenges us to reflect deeply on the unfolding events. The figurines. The figurines, ritual objects, inscriptions, religious artifacts, and ceremonial constructions discovered in the cave's secrets shed light on the beliefs, myths, and rituals of Zakiku's inhabitants. These remarkable findings have proven instrumental for researchers in comprehending the cosmological worldviews, deities worshipped, and spiritual practices associated with the people's beliefs. Beyond their practical significance, the Euphrates River held immense symbolic and religious importance for the residents of Zakiku. In ancient communities, rivers were revered as sacred entities symbolizing fertility, life-giving capabilities, and spiritual significance. The flowing waterways that sustained the land and crops were perceived as manifestations of divine forces and cosmic energy, creating a rich tapestry of legendary and spiritual connections. Due to its proximity to the river, the cave has been speculated to play a role in religious events and rituals linked to the Euphrates. Caves were believed to serve as natural gateways to the divine realm, brimming with spiritual energy and facilitating interactions with supernatural powers and ancestors in ancient times. The study teams searched for indications of religious objects, such as figurines, ritual artifacts, or offerings, which could indicate the significance of the cave in religious ceremonies. The inscriptions on the cave wall. The secret to understanding the many religious ideas is found in the symbols and visual representations. Traditions and legends around the Euphrates River. Maybe because of the river's powers, the cave functioned as a pilgrimage or ceremonial place for people looking for spiritual guidance, healing, or supernatural intervention. Ritualistic actions and practices for purification. It's possible that prayers and offerings took place inside its chambers. The echoes of the cave's natural darkness. The acoustics enhance the ritualistic experience and add to the mystery. The people of Zakaku may have worshipped the Euphrates River similarly to how Hindus regard the Ganga River as sacred. The ancient city of Turka, an ancient city along the banks of the Middle Euphrates, in the Deir ez-Zor Governorate, Syria, encompasses a vast area spanning approximately 20 acres, towering at 60 feet. Throughout its history, Turkey has witnessed various rulers. In the 2nd millennium BC, it came under the dominion of the Assyrian Empire, followed by Mari during Zimri-Lim's reign. Eventually, Babylon assumed control after Hammurabi triumphed over Mari. Archaeologists have uncovered remarkable discoveries at Turka, unveiling its grandeur and formidable defenses. Particularly notable is the city's impressive triple-layered city wall. Standing 20 feet tall and 60 feet wide, these walls, accompanied by a 60-foot wide moat, offer insights into the city's historical efforts to protect its inhabitants. The fortifications at Turka are truly remarkable, with the inner wall constructed around 2900 BC, the middle wall around 2800 BC, and the outer wall around 2007 BC. These fortifications were used for centuries, providing defense until at least 2000 BC. Within Turka, a temple dedicated to Ninkarek, the ancient goddess of healing, holds significance. This sacred sanctuary, existing since at least the 3rd millennium, has been a focal point of excavations. Unearthed artifacts like Egyptian scarabs offer glimpses into the city's connections with other civilizations and spiritual practices. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. What other mysteries have you heard about the Euphrates rivers? Let us know in the comments section.
Choose.